things that you need to invest in the next 5 years. Because when you are an investor, every time you need to make sure that you have certain things working well for you. Investing is made up of many elements, and those elements of investing are very important that they remain in place. All of you are investors, so you got to learn to hear that word. You are an investor. You have the potential. You are responsible for yourself. Nobody will invest for you. It is your responsibility to invest for yourself, for your own future. Don't leave life in the hands of somebody, particularly in relation to investments, because it is you who is interested in yourself, much more than anyone else. Never leave yourself to the whims of the government. It's therefore the first and most important thing that you need to do if you are going to be an investor is to invest in your networking. What is networking? Networking is basically identifying the people who are investing, who have already arrived at the destination that you want to be in the future, and who are already reaping the gains or the rewards of where you want to be. So you need to look for those people. You can't just invest without a direction. You need somebody to guide you, but that person who needs to guide you needs to have already achieved what you are aspiring to be. Where do you get these people? The best place is to look around where you live and identify the person who is your role model, who has already invested in role model in terms of investment in this instance, who has already invested and gotten there, and approach them. Obviously, we know that it's difficult to approach people, but you got to try. You got to try and approach them, buy them a meal, invite them for a meeting, and look for contacts for people who already know them, and use those contacts to try and secure a meeting with them. And when you secure that meeting, make sure that you are organized to talk about what it is that you want from them. Make sure that you clearly articulate what you are aspiring to achieve. Make it clear to them that you are looking for help and guidance and direction. Most successful people are more than willing to provide advice to the people who are also wanting to come through the same way that they have been. There is no shortage of space at the top of the investment ladder. There is the bottom that is overcrowded. So there is a lot of demand for people to join the upper echelons of society, but majority of people haven't even found the clue. So don't be one of them. The second thing is investing in your financial literacy. If you are an investor, how disappointing it is for you to be an investor and you don't know anything about finance. That is dangerous. That's dangerous for your financial future as well. So make sure that you start learning. It's a process like anything else. Life is all about learning each and every day. Nobody has arrived. Don't look at people and think that they've arrived and they know everything. So learn each and every day about your finances. What is the internal rate of return? What is dividend yield? What is earnings per share? All those things, all those terms, they have a meaning and they will impact you. Whether you know them or you don't, they will impact you. How good it is for you to be able to be in control and make good decisions, especially if you have learned everything. Certainly, it will take you many years. Like anything else, it takes time, but eventually you will start feeling confident over time. Everyone is in the process of learning. Everyone is in life. Life is all about learning. So the third point is about investing in health. There's no point of you investing money when you are not healthy. So the first and the most important thing you need to is to fix your health. Make sure that you are fit. Health is the most important thing that you have in life. Your body is your temple, and therefore make sure that you protect it and make sure that you have everything going on well. If you need to exercise every morning, go for it. Come up with a routine. Nothing comes natural to people. Even exercising, most times I go out and walk and run. Sometimes I don't really want to go and exercise, but yet I know it's very important for me to exercise. So make sure that you invest in your health in whatever way possible, depending on where you live. If you live in an urban setting, potentially the gyms are much closer, but if you live in a rural setting, you can always walk, you can always run in the rural, you can always climb mountains, or you can always do something that is consistent with where you live. But the bottom line is that make sure that you're not going to spend a lot of money in the future trying to regain the health that you lost and trying to catch up with what you should have done many years ago. So it's very important to invest in your health. That's very important. It's a very important investment. You can't feel well and you can't feel like investing unless you are yourself are feeling well. Investing relies so much on your faith, because sometimes it's hard to invest. Sometimes it feels much easier. It's much harder to invest if you are still down the bottom of the investment ladder. In other words, when you still have very little amount of money to invest, it's even harder because your investments are generating very little. So sometimes you feel like you need to use that little because you are not earning enough. When you look to your neighbors, you find that they already have passed the stage that you are trying to get to. So in those particular stages of the investment where you have hardly nothing to invest, it feels much more difficult. But unless you have faith that if you continue on this particular path, you will get there, you will definitely lose hope and you will definitely break down when things are not working well. So it's very important to tap into your faith, because doing anything without faith, without an emotion, because emotion drives us every day. Unless you have an emotion that is driving you, it's very difficult to do something consistently. Consistency is important in investing because when you are investing, you're actually building something. So it's very important to make sure that you regularly invest. If you're investing every month, make sure you keep that consistently. What is important is not just the amount that you're investing, but also the consistency. But generating the consistency that you need to be able to keep investing requires you to tap into your faith. Your faith is driven by the emotion. You cannot do something without an emotion. The emotion of anger, whether you are tapping on the emotion of anger to say, I have been struggling all along. This is my only solution to riches or to a better life. Unless you have that particular emotion, you won't be able to invest. You might invest 1 month or 2, and after some time, you feel like, no, you can't go on. So you need an emotion. The other point is that all these things together requires you to then actually do the investment itself, investing. So the fifth point is that you actually need to go out there and invest. It's no use to go and network and without necessarily actually committing to actually going to invest. So yes, you can read about investments, you can have faith, you can do all sorts of things, but unless you actually take the action of setting aside money to invest and actually going to the bank or to whatever type of investment you are keen to do, if it's buying land, unless you actually set aside money to buy land, the investment will never happen on its own. You will actually need to commit to taking action and actually commit to investing the money. So investing requires actually taking action. You can save the money, but unless you actually take the money and decide on what you want to invest on, there won't be an investment. So yes, it's one thing to read through, it's one thing to network, but unless you actually go back home and sit down and actually take action, nothing will ever happen. Leave me a comment on what you think about investing and what are the key takeaways from this conversation. If you haven't started investing, go out and start investing now. Thank you for joining me.